and that is affordable housing. So affordable housing remains a critical issue in Bishop, especially with the geographic constraints. How do you plan to balance development while preserving the city's unique character? What new initiatives do you see as feasible, particularly in collaboration with entities like LADWP?
Well, thank you for the question, Amy. It's a wonderful question. And speaking of this subject, October 2nd, there will be a Bishop City Council Candidates Forum hosted by Inyo 350, October 2nd. So, and that is one of the subjects that is going to come up during that discussion. So I would like to invite the public to come to the forum and hear not only from me, but from everybody that is running for City Council on that particular subject. And speaking of that, affordable housing, I think let's define affordable housing. What is affordable? Because for our small city, I think affordable housing, it's a very complicated topic that involves the lack of or not a lot of land for development. And that has to do with Bishop's history. When Bishop was founded, the DWP owned a lot of land within the city limits and outside the city limits. And historically, LADWP doesn't want to let go of that land because of the water rights. So even today, the city of Bishop, when we want to acquire a piece of land from DWP, the last time we did it, it took us almost 11 years of paperwork to get that property. And because the city of Bishop, with a small tax base, we don't have the staff to begin with for applying for grant funding for affordable housing. And we don't have the resources to build a big complex like in Mammoth. So we have to partner with private developers. So when the city of Bishop acquired that property in early 2019, 2020, it was, the city sold it to a developer for what it's called the Silver Peaks project.
I see.
That is supposed to be housing, including affordable housing, not only affordable housing, but including. But because affordable housing, it's very expensive in the state of California. When you are building for affordable housing, whether it's for rent, lease, or buy, the price is supposed to be low. But in order to do that, you need funding from the state or from the federal government or from other entities.
Especially with construction costs today, because how can it be affordable when the construction costs just keep increasing?
Keeps going up.
Increasing.
Especially over the last 4 years since COVID.
Yes.
And the lack of labor force as well, too.
Yes.
There's a shortage in every trade. So when there is not funding to build that project, the project doesn't happen. So that's what happened in Bishop right now. We have the land, but the developer hasn't been able to get the funding to build anything for 3 or 4 years. It's a very important issue because we know we need affordable housing in our community. In fact, we need all housing at all levels, but we don't have the land to develop it. So what we did at the City of Bishop a couple of years ago, we approved the mixed-use overlay zone for the downtown Bishop. What that means is that you can combine commercial and residential. You can have commercial at the ground level and residential up to 3 levels on top. And we have some projects like that coming up.
Oh, that's great.
So that's very exciting. We are able to add housing, not necessarily affordable housing, but housing to our area, which
I appreciate you giving me information on building higher. That certainly allows more people to come in. You've got your businesses below and then your residents up top. That's beautiful. And I love that city living too. I have a question for you, and this is something that I've seen in Mammoth, and that is additional housing units or ADU. Is Bishop entertaining ADUs here, say a mother-in-law quarters above a garage or anything like that on existing properties?
Excellent added question or follow-up question. But before I answer that question, let me add to the previous that we want to keep Bishop growing, but at the same time, we know that we need to be careful on its looks.
Yes.
And because there is not room to grow sideways, the only way to grow is up.
Yes.
Yes. As far as ADUs, we do allow that. We did approve recently that you can add another unit, the mother-in-law quarters or the ADUs, and we are in process of working with the County of Inyo to have pre-made plans that you can use to build an ADU. So you don't have to spend on engineering, architecture, in developing those plans for you. You can select from, I believe, 3 different styles or models and pick the one you like or the one that fits in your property, and you can build that additional unit.
That is fascinating. I know engineering cost and architect, that can be a huge percentage of that investment into an ADU. So you can just go in and pick from several plans.